Okay, we're being live streamed.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started then, since it's 12:01 according to my computer. Give me just a second here. Okay, well, welcome everybody to the April 17th, 2023 meeting of the Commissioners of Fire District 4 in Whatcom County. I'm Steve Cooley, currently chair of the board. Everybody else, you want to introduce yourselves in case we have somebody watching?
I'm Tim Johnson, Commissioner.
Mark Land, Commissioner.
Jason Matterbean, Fire Chief.
All right, thank
I'm
you.
Liz Loomis, guest.
Welcome, Liz. There you are. How you feeling? Not
Like
so good, it
crap.
looks like. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll make this brief. It's not going to be a very
No,
long.
it's
So
all good. I'm sorry. You can't predict these things, right? So
you can't. Well, as you can see, I'm on the road. So, okay. So
Yes.
I'll officially open the public comment period. Chief, do we have anybody waiting in the wings?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, with no public comment, I will close the public comment period. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. All matters within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Board of Commissioners for review, are considered routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the board with no separate discussion. If a separate discussion is desired, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request. That agenda, or the consent agenda, includes the meeting minutes from our meeting on the 13th of March, staff reports filed by the chief and his people, the financial report, voucher and payroll and benefits reports. And currently that indicates that our direct deposit payroll for this last was $512, and monthly expenditure voucher was $635,788.85. We spent a little bit of money this month. Expense fund revenue for March was $96,989.29. And our total expenditures for April were $636,300.85. So is there any comment on that before we move on to approving the consent agenda? Sorry.
And for me, I would move that we approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Thank you, Mark. Do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Tim. I have a second. So we are moving to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. Consent agenda is approved. All right, moving to unfinished business. Liz, you're first up, so go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the purpose of this call is to talk about the projected levy increase request, right? And so I think we're dealing with a couple of things here, right? So we're dealing with the operations budget and capital needs that Whatcom 4 needs. And I think we're also looking long-term at possibly forming and funding an RFA, or even talking about merging with North Whatcom Fire and Rescue. So at this point, I've thought about it long and hard, gentlemen, right? So we failed some in the past. So I think at the point we can get it up to parity with what folks in North Whatcom are paying. I think that's our best step forward, while at the same time educating folks that our long-term plan is to merge, right? Or form an RFA. There are different laws that govern mergers as opposed to forming and funding new entities. And so maybe that's something the board wants to consider. But short term, I think getting up to the 84 cents per thousand that North Whatcom folks are paying is the right way forward. And yes, I realize it doesn't get you everything you need right now, but I think it's going to be really hard to pass something higher than that at the point North Whatcom provides us with service. So I want to put that out for discussion.
Thank you very much. Let me interject just briefly. And it sort of segues into new business, but let me just mention we have a couple of that's one proposal we have for the new levy rate. The chief and I have discussed that and another proposal. So he and I agreed that I think most of the debate would be best done in a special meeting at the end of the month where we're in person, as many of us that can be there. And that way we can invite the public to listen and answer questions there before we actually vote on whatever levy rate increase we want to put on the ballot. So with that said, I'm certainly open to discussion right now on that, but let's save the bulk of that for our special meeting. Gentlemen, you have any comments or questions with Liz? For Liz?
I would just say that I believe trying to reach parity with North Wacom is a good plan. We need to do for the longer term resolution for us. I guess I'm a little concerned. I mean, North District 21 is going to probably have to at some point raise a levy as well, right? And then are we going to be shortly out of parity if we go with our levy lift this year?
It will, but I think there's actually, if I could go back and talk maybe from just real quick.
Yeah, let's meld this old business with the new business because they're very related. So go ahead, Chief.
And just like Commissioner Cooley said, I'll save a bulk of it for the special meeting later this month. But I'd come down at $1.15 as the levy rate, and that allows us a certain amount of breathing room and allows us to do all the things that we need to do. After talking with Liz, I see a lot of wisdom in what she's saying, but I think it's really important for the public to see that this is not an easy decision either way, and that we are taking the considerations of, the public considerations or concerns of we're being compressed by taxes, and us saying, look, we're going to do a responsible levy lid lift. I want them to see the sausage get made, or at least provide them the opportunity to see it get made. I think that's really important. We can say we actually had a debate and we have, versus these two levy rates. Liz is onto something with the parity with District 21 for this year. And then the other thing is we've spent a lot of money working towards the RFA. All of us here know that that's the best path forward. I believe all of us do. Maybe Commissioner Johnson wasn't here for the RFA discussions, but I think he's heard enough kind of side discussions that he could support that. But Commissioners Cooley and Land, we spent a lot of money getting to the RFA, and we're so close. Like, that plan is still alive. And with what Liz said, I think we could actually cross the finish line and bring the best, most leanest thing to the taxpayer. And it would be best for long term. So that being said, at the special meeting, I will bring my all-in proposal, and then I've done the numbers on Liz's proposal or what she advocates for, so that you can see them side by side. I'll have a resolution for 84 cents, a resolution for $1.15, and we'll seal the deal that night and get it off to the county so that we can get it on the ballot.
So Chief, based like an RFA is ideal, right? But what about a merger? Right. So
that would get us closer to either one.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and this is a question, I think, for your legal team, right? But at the point you're looking at a merger of Whatcom 4 to North Whatcom, it only requires Whatcom 4. So if this year we do parity, right, in tax increases or taxes, and then next year we look at merging, and chances are your AVs are going to be higher than Whatcom 4's AVs, right? So your levy rate's going to drop below 84. So at that point, Whatcom 4 could merge into North Whatcom. And I just say this because I was on a call 2 hours ago talking about this very kind of strategy, right? So maybe that's something to talk to legal about. I mean, ideally, having an RFA would be the best, right? But barring that, how do we consolidate the fire districts to best serve people and get them to parity, and then provide a small tax decrease for Whatcom 4 property owners because they're the grumpiest, right?
Tend to be, yeah.
I haven't checked the grumpy meter lately. I don't know who the grumpiest,
No.
but yeah, I
I'm
hear
so
what you're
grumpy, Chair. I'm grumpy.
And it may be a 3-step process that gets us to the RFA, you know.
Yep.
Go from
Yeah.
to go from merger to
Yeah, we'll have to evaluate after we get this issue, finished. We'll have to evaluate what the best way, if indeed a merger or a RFA is the best way to move forward.
Yeah.
We'll evaluate which one is best, like you said, with advice of our legal team. So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for,
Cool.
and by the way, thank you for all the comments about that. Go ahead.
I just wanted to
No.
say that, I wanted Liz to come just real quickly and kind of, I say make her pitch, but just give her perspective because she's got a lot more experience than any of us in this arena. And
Indeed.
her reaction to me saying $1.15 was strong enough that I was able to recognize that possibly I'd missed the mark. So I wanted to have, we're paying for Liz's consultancy. Let's use the information for what we need to.
Yeah, and it's so thanks, Chief, for that, right? But it's really the long game, right? It's the long game. How can we secure enough revenue to save lives and property, right? Like, how do we do that? And ultimately, I think everyone knows that some kind of consolidation is going to be most cost effective for taxpayers, right? So short term, what do we do? And then long term, kind of playing for that long game. You have a Seahawks t-shirt on, Chairman. But what's the long game on something like that, right? So just trying to get you where you need to be. So
Great.
Thank you. We appreciate that feedback, and that's good advice. We will certainly take it under serious consideration. So
Thank you.
thank you, Liz. Anybody else have questions or discussion about all of this? Okay,
We can let Liz go.
Yes, thank you, Liz, for coming, and please get well.
Thank you, Liz.
thanks, guys. I'm
Take care.
sorry. I'm so sick. I'm so
No
sorry.
worries. Get
Feel
better.
Better.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Okay, that ends the unfinished business. That moves us on to new business. There's none on the agenda. We sort of just took care of the planning for the possibility of a special meeting. I think that's a good idea to call a special meeting towards the end of the month or the early in May. You guys, Mark and Tim, on board with that?
Yeah, I am. I think I remember an email about, what dates was I available, and I sent back a couple. Did we ever settle on?
No,
on the
let's
date?
do that right now if we could. Yeah.
Commissioner Johnson was going to be out of town that week. So
Oh,
So maybe looking at the following week after that, Tim, the first week of May, will that possibly work for you?
I can make the first week of May work for
Okay.
me. Yes, I'm just out of town the last week of April.
Okay. Mark, will the first week of May work for you?
yeah, I'm just looking.
Yeah, take your time.
So does that, can't remember, does that give us enough time for the public notification?
well, I'm looking that date up right now. I think it's pretty sure it's the 12th. We've got to have it in.
You're talking about the 12th of May for the county to get our,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm just looking. Are we looking at the week of the 8th or the week of the 1st?
I think the first.
Give us enough time for the
First.
presentation. Well, I'm looking that data up right now. I think it's, pretty sure it's,
Oh,
well.
What's happening?
Sure.
Goes
You
to
guys-
Christmas past.
Well, for the county to get our.
Weird.
We looking at
We
the.
packed our meeting.
hang
Yeah,
on.
what-
I'm gonna take us off YouTube and then restart.